Now we have these, I thought of the following. The Gemara on Yichud, it really starts in Daf Pei, the Mishnah. And then it gives, after the Mishnah, Daf Pei, it gives the details concerning Yichud. Then comes the break where we started with episodes of some of the greatest sages, and they were sent temptation via the Soton in an area which was really, for them, thought to be they were inhibited against such temptations. An attractive woman, loose woman. And then we have the dinim concerning that a person may be alone together. There's no problem, even if they're sleeping in one bed, a father and his daughter, and a mother and his son. Although these are forbidden relationships, and the law of being secluded in one room with a woman applies to all the relatives that are forbidden to have any sexual contact with them. So why is it that the father, there's no din of yichud of a father with his daughter and a mother with her son? And in fact, there's similarly even with grandchildren. And then there's a question about a sister. All these are the closest relationships, there's prohibitions of the Torah. So okay, so that's the sugya we're dealing with here. How does for yichud go? It would appear, simple pshat is that yichud is forbidden because it may lead to actual intercourse. And since these close families, there's no such fear in them. And amongst the nations of the world, it's true. Maybe there's a lot of such perversions take place. But amongst Am Yisrael, and today that's even entered to Western civilization, it's very rare that people should go and commit such acts of incest in their family. It's so rare that the sages say you can be together, no problem. But then when it comes to, as we explained already, to understand the sugya, even if we make it more easy for very close relationships, but if they're a bit further removed, they're still incestuous, there's still a law of incest, it's forbidden. And especially those relatives where you're not allowed to have any intercourse, let's say, with an aunt, if they are related through marriage, then certainly the prohibition of being secluded applies. Why? Because it's more distant. Since they're more distant, therefore, if they're attractive, there's some attraction between man and woman, then it's liable to sin. And then yesterday we did the sugya, next few lines of Gemara, to deal with the extreme carefulness of the Amoraim, some of them, and also Reb Meir. Reb Meir even went to see, what did he say? Be careful, don't let me be too familiar with my daughter. And then we have the example here brought that Rabbi Yehuda says a person can be with his sister, certainly with his mother, with his daughter. But Shmuel says, no, you mustn't. Not anyone, even with the behemoth. And then he brings the proof from the Brisa. Yeah, and another, he says, this is Machlokes Tannaim. Rabbi Meir says, be careful because of my daughter. And Rabbi Tarfon said, be careful before my daughter-in-law. And then they bring the case of Rabbi in the name of Tzanoim, that he actually went as far as bestiality. And Abaye went further. He was in a field trying to learn there by himself, and he saw there's animals there. He drove them out. And Rav Shesha put them on the other side of the border. So, and then he brings here the kid Rav Kana. He was learning, and there's an animal. Says to him, "What? You can learn? There's an animal there." So I didn't realize it. So in all this, why is this brought here? I think the only way we can explain it is because they're afraid of Hashem sending a Satan. It's not. We would say it's not normal. Why do they go to such extremes of strictures upon themselves? We know that bestiality is a terrible perversion, which there's a punishment mentioned in the Chumash. But because of that, you shouldn't be secluded with an animal. It's very, very difficult to understand. And in fact, look at Toys. First, I want you all to see the small Toys. Abaye would drive away the animals from the field because the chashash of bestiality. Near the Han Amoraim, these Amoraim, Chumra Ba'alma Ka'avta, they applied to themselves a stricture. It's not a halacha. And there's machloikas on the next page. The clear machloikas. Yehuda says you've got to be careful for homosexuality by Jews as well. That means shouldn't. If you can be faithful, say how go to the mikveh. You know, so how allowed? Let's say there's only one other person in the mikveh. Or because a lot of people say chapush mechavero, one person in the mikveh. The truth is that there are sometimes situations of abuse, you know, of youngsters and so on. There have been cases, unfortunately. But the Chachomim say, the Chachom disagreed very good. They say, Lo nechsh Yisrael lo al mishkav zacho v'lo al abehema. We don't suspect the people of Israel, those who educate, to go to the extent of bestiality, and that applies today as well, and not to the extent of mishkav zachor. Unfortunately, there is a chashash today. Yeah? I mean, it's well known for the people. There has to be hashgocha in mikvaot even, because you know there are because we live in such a society. In the non-Jewish world, become very strong, as we see even it's been made legal by one of the courts, the
Supreme Court,
Supreme Court in America, and it percolates into the Jewish community as well. And as you know, there's even gay rabbis, and there's an organization for people in the Jewish community. It's also a problem. It has to be faced by people who want, and not only in the non-religious community, even in the religious community. But the approach to this has to be, we've got to, one of the bases of this is that I worked once with a psychologist on this question. I wrote also a response about it. What's the Torah's attitude to the Jewish homos? So there's some people, and I had a certain case in my community of a boy who had a difficult home, and in his adolescence he developed such tendencies. Yeah, he didn't find any attraction to opposite sex. So I worked with him together with a psychologist to use certain methods. He's got to know this is according to the Torah, it's an abomination, and you've got to battle against it. But he found it difficult. So together with a psychologist, we got him out of it. Because through Torah and through a person working on its character, he can change his tendencies. There's a way of doing it. And it's got a lot to do with the barrage of the mass media, which promote feminism, yeah, and they promote the principle of pleasure, as opposed to getting things channeled in the right direction. And the truth is, I explained that the average adolescent, in order to overcome his heterosexual tendencies, has got to work hard, very hard. And similarly, the person's got homo tendencies has also got to work hard. And just like a person in Torah, he's got natural, which has the majority of people have that, natural tendencies to the opposite sex, which is very valuable. But there's special laws how to work on it, that you keep it, you channel it in certain directions. You've got to channel in creativity and sport, and throwing yourself into learning. That all helps. With Musa, you can control it, and then it produces afterwards a proper channeling in marriage. And the same thing applies to homos as well. And not to say, some say it's a sickness, you can't change it. You can change it. Huh? But it's not so simple. So the next is, unfortunately, because of the overall immoral environment, it becomes more common. And that's, if you go back to the expression, the Chumash, of the Torah Mabul, once the people lost self-control, then there was debasement in every direction, and perversions rule instead of the natural channels. But this is a very important choice for us. In fact, I'll tell you, in the halacha, it's very interesting, the question of bestiality. He says, Mashal Paskins la halacha, if there's a person who feels also he doesn't want to be alone with an animal, and he's taking upon himself such strictures were taken by these Tanoim Amaroim, then he says, if he does a thing like that, he shouldn't do it. It's not a question, often you say, a person who goes within the letter of law, blessing comes upon him. No, don't say that, you say the opposite. If he goes and takes a stricture like that upon himself, it's forbidden because of pride. And a person shouldn't make himself super from and say, I'm not going to learn in a field where there's an animal that might be, even two animals who might be doing breeding at the time. It's not going to affect, if a person thinks it's going to affect him, he certainly shouldn't advertise it, because it means the person is going too far. To be super from, it's not, is in the Shulchan Aruch also, about certain things, it says, Mishum Yura, for example, it says that, some poskim say, the person to wear 2 pairs of tefillin, not if there's a custom in the whole community, but if there isn't a custom in the whole community, he starts wearing 2 pairs of tefillin in a community where it's not the normal practice. He can only do it if he's known to be a very great chassid, then he can do it. But the ordinary person shouldn't do it, shouldn't take things upon himself to do a crowd. And when on Sukkot, a person says, I'm staying in the Sukkah, even if it's raining, and if it's very cold, then he's called a hedjot, he's called an idiot. Called a machmir. In such things, you shouldn't be more strict. So, now let's carry on a bit with Igdilu. Hashem B'Ksuto. Can one of you say? V'chamo. It says that a parent can be with a child of the opposite sex even if their bodies touch. But if they grow older, then they've got to be in separate garments. So what do you mean grow older? Which age? V'chama. Do you want to say? Who wants to say? David? V'chama? V'chama? Omer of Adar Barak Azo? Umar Abasi, Tinok is a girl, Batesha Shanim Yom Echad. A girl, when it reaches the age of 9, it's already, there can be already slight beginnings of puberty. And then this girl should not sleep without separate clothes with her father, because it might simulate him. You never know in a certain way. Or in any case, it's forbidden. And Tinok and a boy, when he reaches the age of 12 in one day. That's one opinion. The Ikadamra, the Rashi says here, you see, like this, that Tinoket Batesha Rashi adds, when she's aged 9, it's also, according to Rashi, it's only if she already has pubic hairs. Why? Read the Rashi. That's an expression used in the Prophet Yechezkel. Your breasts are already developed and your hair is beginning to grow. The Mekarabo. Then that stimulates. It can even stimulate the father. So, well, Commander Omar, this goes on the opinion, Bateshan of Yom Echad, Shivu Sarah, Simonhe. Goes on the opinion that a girl of that age, if she already has pubic hairs, she's considered already an adult. We say bas mitzvah. It means when she becomes 12 years and a day, then she's obligated for the mitzvahs. There's another view that she can become bas mitzvah earlier if she already develops these signs of puberty. But קודם לכן שומות she has signs of puberty which is age 7 or 8. Then we say shumo. Then we say these hairs are not an indication of puberty, but they're just like, it can sometimes happen that hairs are produced in different parts of the body, even in an unusual manner, hairs that will fall off, temporary hairs, not considered the more permanent hairs that remain from the age of puberty. The tinok, but the boy who's aged ben Yud Beit Shana Yom Echad Higdil, is also called already an adult. He's not really an adult for mitzvahs, but he's an adult. It's also the same. If there's a boy who has, according to that opinion, or has pubic hairs when he's age 12, then he's already called a gadol. For lo yishan imo, he's not allowed to sleep with his mother. Tkiru basar. You can only sleep in the same bed as the mother if they have separate clothes. But the question is, what's the point about the din of yichud? I mean, that's on extreme closeness to be in the same bed. But yichud, it will hear from the Mishnah, there's no din of yichud, even if they're older. That means they'll be secluded in a room, it doesn't matter. A father and his daughter, or even a granddaughter. Do you want to continue, Omar Rova? No, wait, option. It says, the Gemara, both of them, the Shir is, if they reach Shadayim Nechoinus Reit Zomeach. Omar Rav and Papa. Papa, Omar Rav
Christa. Lo shanu ela she'ena busha. לעומד לפני ארון, לפונו ארון. והלבושה לעמוד לפונו ארון, אסור. מתמה יצא להלבשה.
If she's ashamed to stand, let's say the daughter is ashamed to stand in front of the father in the nude, then her body becomes a source of stimulation. She's clothed in the Yetzer. Rashi used the expression, what she says, can you say Biyadua? Because then we know the girl already has a certain taste of intercourse. So this age has to do also, we had before the din, that if a person is secluded, a man, let's say, secluded with one woman, who's like the din is, there's the din of yichud, actually even with a pnui, an unmarried woman, or with another married woman, and there's a girl there that is under 9 years old, let's say only 8 years old, then we say she could be a shomeret. She protects the father from committing a sin with this other woman. So she can be a protection. The age of protection is when the girl, the daughter, is so young that she does not as yet have any sexual desire. She doesn't even know what it is. On the other hand, she knows what intercourse is, but she's not aware of the experience. But if she's already ashamed to be in front of her father in the nude, that means she's got a certain experience. It goes together, which is the mention already in the Chumash by Odom and Chava. So then carry on. Rav Acha ba'Abo.
Abba, Ikele lebei Rav Mar de Mekatsha. Amalei.
No, lebei Rav Chisda. Chasnei. He went to the house of Rav Chisda's son-in-law. He went to the house, the home of his son-in-law, Rav Chisda.
Shakle lebas berate.
He took hold of his granddaughter. And he put them in his bosom. He stroked her in his bosom. I suppose he even touched her body, fondled her.
So
he, because otherwise he followed the din, which we mentioned before, that her father is permitted to be with his daughter, and she also permitted. She was after she was a young daughter, and also his granddaughter. There's no din of yichud, and similarly also, if she's underage to understand the din of bior, she was under the age of 9, and she hadn't brought any pubic signs. Therefore, he thought it's okay for me to fondle her. One does on a granddaughter, you take, you don't bother, which is just only to touch, if you touch different parts of the body. And he wanted to show how much he loved his grandchild. So then he said to him, that means the son-in-law said to him, you transgressed what Rav says. What did Rav say? No, just a minute. He says, don't you know that she's already a kala? In other words, he thought, he wasn't aware of the fact that she already got engaged or had Kiddushin. Although she was age 8, let's say, It's a girl of 8. So he said, don't you know this? It uses specifically the word makadsho. Because there used to be a gap of at least a year between Kiddushin and Nisuin. That means she still lived at home with her parents, but the parents married her off when she was aged 8. Yeah? And she had, at some stage, she already had the ring of the Erusin, of the Kiddushin, on her finger, but he didn't notice that. Don't you know she'd already had Kiddushin? So he said to him, so his father-in-law said to him, Rashi says, Ein Adoni Odea, Chi Mekudeshet. It's already Mekudeshet. Therefore he's got to keep away from her. No, your granddaughter, but it's already married. It's already married. You shouldn't go and fondle her. So he said to him, I didn't know, and Omalei. So his father-in-law said to his son-in-law, when you married off so young, you transgressed the words of Rav. Why? Because Rav said, Rav Yehuda said the name of Rav, and some said Rabbi Elazar, it's forbidden for a person to marry his daughter when she's still minor. She's got to wait till she is bas mitzvah, and she said, I want to marry him. So therefore you married her too young. You shouldn't get her married so young. It's forbidden to do it. Because if you marry her so young, it creates complications. When she's bas mitzvah, say, I don't like him. First let her have her own clear opinion, when she's old enough, whether she's happy with that husband. So the son-in-law says to his father-in-law, but you've also transgressed. You're accusing me of having contradicted the opinion of Rav, but you yourself are contradicting the opinion of Shmuel. What's been Shmuel? Shmuel says, Shmuel says, you don't go and make use of a woman. In other words, and you don't go and have deals. If he goes even far in Mishtamshem, he shouldn't make use of a woman, and certainly not should you fondle her. So the grandfather says, what's he say? And I follow the other statement of Shmuel. Which is the other statement of Shmuel? Contradicted himself really. What's the other statement? Rashi says, whatever you do with women, it's permissible if it's Hashem Shamayim. And you think, when I fondle my granddaughter, it's the Chibat Ishot. And it's not Chibat Ishot, but it's Chibat Kurva. I just want to tell her that I'm talking to the grandfather, that I love her, Velasot Korat Ruach L'Ima, and to make her mother, my daughter, feel happy, because Shani Mechavat Bita, that when I show my love for her daughter. And what this Tosfos says, see what Tosfos say? The first Tosfos on the page, very important. Now, HaKoil Hashem Shemayim. Although Shmuel, we find, has made statements which are very strict and extreme, on the other one he said, everything depends on Hashem Shemayim. We rely today that we don't mind if women serve us. Nobody minds anymore in a home, and the women come in and they serve you the food. Doesn't matter who they are. We rely upon the Shem Shamayim. You can greet women. The question is, in all these matters, what's the halacha? So,
you can greet women? You can greet women today?
Yes. If it's the Shem Shamayim. If it's Shem Chipat Kurva, you know, Shem. Some people are machmir, but if it's clearly Shem Shamayim. Halacha l'maisa, we call this book in our library also in English. I recommend it strongly. One of the best on the Dinim of Yichud, of Vaksham. It's called also, I think, laws of purity or something. So it contains also a section, a brief section on Yichud. Maybe I'll have to do, perhaps I'll just start on it. I'll give you a few basic halachic conclusions. I mean, there's a lot of, this is one of the major sections in the Gemara that deals with this in practice, but there are also other sections of the Gemara, and I'll just give certain outlines. That it's forbidden for a woman, if she's not married or married, to be alone with one person, one man, whether he's unmarried or married, even for a short time, in a place where that they can be secluded and won't be disturbed by other people. For example, if there's a house or room which is locked from the inside, or a very lonely place, if it's out in the field, or it's the center of the city, but there's no other people there. Now this is a relative concept of seclusion. Sometimes there can be seclusion, and there are people, but if the people who are present will not prevent a forbidden act, there's also part of the laws of Yichud. So the basic principle is a man above the age of 13 should not be with halachically speaking, with a girl, Jewish or non-Jewish, from 3 years upwards. And also, even if she's his daughter-in-law, even if she is his bride, today a person that is engaged to a girl, the engagement period before the marriage, he shouldn't be alone. The Yichud also apply. And of course this, especially in a time when today there's such, unfortunately, this Yetzirah of child molestation, you can understand the significance and the way in which this we guard against such things happening in the Jewish community. Now, the exception, also if it's together with a relative that's forbidden, like certain cousins and aunts and sister-in-law or nieces in certain circumstances. But an exception to this is a mother, a grandmother, a daughter, a grandchild, and a sister. Now, with a sister, one may be in a secluded place, according to many opinions. It should be not more than 30 days, and some are more strict, say it shouldn't be more than 7 days. And Moshe Feinstein, he says you've got to judge the extent of the time, not as a definite number of days, but rather according to circumstances. If a person it looks as though it's going to be living together, and living together is more permanent, not just temporary. Then we say a woman, a girl, over the age of 12, should not be together with a Jewish or non-Jewish boy who's aged more than 9 years. So that's there's a question between babysitting. And a man, Jewish or non-Jewish, married or not married, mustn't be together with him. But here also the exception is a father, grandfather, son or grandson, or a brother. Now there's a special difficult situation with regard to adopting children. And we must have to take this into account. Because adopted children, so it can also be same dinim of yichud. But with a brother and sister, say there's no real prohibition. As we said, it shouldn't be a brother. What happens to their brothers and sisters who are stepbrothers? And we said, in other words, they're not directly related. They're stepchildren. Let's say two people both have a second marriage. Then it's also a din of yichud. And with the laws of yichud apply even at an older age, which we saw in the Gemara already, that the Gemara brings those instances of people who were brought to a situation where they're beyond the normal, but sometimes abnormally, they can be put into compromising situations. So if a person is attending a doctor, then it's permissible. Although even when one goes to a doctor, one should see to it that the door is not locked. So the person, or to go with someone else, there shouldn't be a yichud. But as far as if it's not possible and it's a question of there's no other way, then there are sometimes leniencies because of its sakona for a person if he doesn't not dealt with by the doctor. But nevertheless, in principle, just if there's a question of piguach nefesh, then it's a different matter. But otherwise, one should be careful to avoid yichud. Yichud applies also in a more isolated place in the woods or at the beach. There are also such dinim. There's a certain heter, balo ba'ir, person, it's a married couple, and the wife is by herself in the house, and the father and the husband is in town, but the husband can come in any time. So a certain leniency.
Sorry? What was that last situation?
If a husband is not, the wife is alone in her home, and the husband could come in any time, he's got keys and everything. So some say that then to start with, it's still better not to lock the door, but in case of difficulty, that is a possibility of leniency. Well, if there's no issue of yichud in the house, the father is and where the husband can come in at a time. But If the husband is away for a certain period, so gone abroad or something, then the normal din of yichud applies. So for the next year, I'd like you to prepare the next Mishnah.
Okay.
Daf Pei Beis. Pei Beis, Omid Aleph. We come to some of the, why did some other issues. Try and do the Mishnah, next Mishnah with the Gemara on it. I'll do the Gemara until the bend.
Okay.
The Mishnah that we start today?
No,
The next Mishnah, Daf Pei Beis.
No, he alluded to this.
If you can do the Rashi with it, and if possible, also the Tosfos. Also the Tosfos.
Yes.
It's a short piece of Gemara. Mishnah is a short piece of Gemara.
Can we move to this? Oh, we move to the Gemara.